ladies and gentlemen, it's Saturday, and we have our chess show on IBM TV. Now it's Sport TV, and I would like to introduce my panel. Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, many times U.S. champion. And I would like to introduce, hi Alex, I would like to introduce a pair, fabulous Mihail Marin, Grandmaster from Romania, and his beautiful wife, Maria, who is a talented artist, highly talented artist, I'm sorry, this is a quote. And finally, we have a professor, Ken Regan, from the United States. Hello. And
thank you for having me on again.
Okay, so I'm wearing today a very frivolous shirt because it's a summer. It's finally summer in Toronto. Believe it or not, we had 8 months of winter, but it's summer still. 3 weeks ago,
I didn't notice it. We didn't notice it here.
Really?
Maybe today, but.
No, it's real. I mean, today we have 30-some degrees Celsius with humidity 40. Ken, how's
yes, it's the kind of day where you would go to a Blue Jays game if the roof were open. But the Blue Jays are here in Buffalo. My wife and I saw them rally in the 9th inning on Wednesday evening.
Really?
Right. I saw part of that game too. Yeah. Well, it's actually good that they moved from Florida to Buffalo, at least a little closer to the homeland.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I have problems with Toronto sport teams after Maple Leaf blew 3-1 lead against Montreal, and Montreal squeaked by 4-3. That was horrible, and everybody's furious about that. But there is nothing can be done, unfortunately.
No, I watched the 7th. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, now Montreal is leading Winnipeg, so they might.
Actually, Maple Leafs offered a lot of more resistance than Winnipeg. So maybe this is a good comment for us.
When I was on sabbatical in Montreal in 2009, I listened to the sports chat shows, and there was much discussion about the fitness of an Anglophone goaltender named Carey Price, who was then young. So now, 12 years later, he's good.
Well, he's not just good. I think he's fantastic. Perhaps he's the best goalie in the world right now, but maybe not. There are some other goalies. Actually, Vasilevsky in Tampa Bay, he's fantastic. And Bobrovsky is very good. Although he didn't have a lot of luck against Canadian team in the World Championship. And
the Canadians made a great comeback. At some moment, it seemed like they wouldn't even qualify for the playoffs. And look at them now; they're in the finals.
Yes, they beat US yesterday. So it's really amazing what happened. And you know what? I was watching this game on the Russian channel. The first channel of Russian television. I have a Roku device, so through Roku I can watch hundreds of channels, including the first channel of Russian television. And of course, the commentaries were all in Russian. So I was listening at the beginning of the game. We have a great team. They're great players. They're so fast. They're so good. And then they're going, okay, this guy does this. There's a pass. There's a goal. And they were so lovely. Now when the score became 1-1. They became a little bit subdued, and they say, well, Canada is a pretty good team, and we have to be very careful, and so on. And in overtime, finally, Canada scored, and all of a sudden, everything became quiet. They stopped translation. There was no team, congratulating each other, Canadian anthem. They all cut all of that, so they just had...
they continued. They had this issue. Some years ago, I read about it. That Canada won against Russia in the finals of the World Hockey Championship, and the Russians didn't wait around for the Canadian anthem.
Yeah,
they just skated away, and the Canadians were very unhappy about this. And of course, the lame excuse: "Oh, we thought it was a long pause. We thought it was over." No.
Yeah, so
this is all wrong. That's bad sportsmanship.
No, but this is sportsmanship. In fact, if you would watch it on US or Canadian channel, they stayed on the field and they congratulated Canadian team or so on. It's a Russian.
This time, yes, they did. But I mean, a few years ago.
Yeah, you're right. But this time it was Russian television who cut all of a sudden.
No, well, whatever. They had more important things to show you.
Yes,
Probably
yes,
cameras
absolutely.
given an important speech and so on.
Of course, they have more important things. They develop new missile systems, and they have
Good.
new fighter planes, and all that stuff. Yeah, we know all that. Now, I had one program with all of us, I believe, about whether chess can be a spectator's sport. It's a very interesting subject because I think any of you saw the last game of this Magnus tournament when he beat Wesley So, and what's happened after he won the game? Did you see it? Anybody?
I saw Magnus's reaction live. Yeah.
Oh my God, what he was doing! Now the bad thing about this way of translating of the transmission is we couldn't hear what he was saying or screaming or whatever. We could see only his face and his gestures, and he did a really good show. I was impressed. I never could imagine that a chess player, even if he is a world champion, can do such a show. It was very impressive. However, the question is, does it make chess a spectator sport? Probably not. I don't believe this. I mean, people... Yeah. You see, average people who like watch sports, for them that's a big deal. But if they don't understand the game and they just see Magnus Carlsen gesturing and jumping around or so on, I mean, it's like several videos on YouTube when people are jumping with joy about something.
About anything, they can jump and joy, whatever.
Yeah, that's right. On one of our programs, there was actually, we were discussing issue of feminism. And in sport, they discussed that the feminists did excellent job. For example, in tennis, women are played exactly in Grand Slam the same prizes as men. And I said, this is a crime. Why would they get the same prizes as men when men have to play 5 sets and women play only 3 sets? So why are they getting the same pay? Because they have beautiful outfits and beautiful legs and so on. So for that they're paid the same money. I don't think it's right. And then it was opinions were divided. Some people say that I'm right and they shouldn't be paid the same. And then came issue with this girl, Naomi Osaka, who refused to do the press conference after the match, and that was a horrible scandal.
What was the reason for that decision? I mean, why? I'm sure she talked to the press before. She had been around for some time.
Well, decision is, well, it's not nice to talk about it in the open air, but I'll tell you, at least it's my opinion. My opinion is that she was very outspoken and she used the platform to talk about issues like Black Lives Matter and other political stuff and so on. So when her handlers probably explained to her that she should be a little bit quiet about that stuff and just concentrate on tennis, she lost her reasons for press conferences and refused to give one. And that's really all what it is.
I don't think that best explains the facts of what she said, because she said that her problems began after the horrible match with Serena, where Serena, had all those objections, and she was
3 years ago.
3 years ago at the U.S. Open. And
but after that, she gave several press conferences after match with Serena, and she won a couple of Grand Slams. So really, it wasn't a pleasant situation. I agree with you, but she did carry on after that for another 2 years.
But such things can accumulate and reach a threshold and boil over. I'm just going by what she herself has said.
Okay, I agree. Look, what she said what organizers said. It's all well known. I mean, but we can make our own decision
No.
about that. But listen,
No,
however,
it's part of it. It's part of it for an athlete to talk to the press. It's just part of the whole thing, you know. No, it's.
absolutely.
I mean, there are many classic cases of that, you know. And years ago, when I was, remember, I was in Cleveland, and the Indians, they finally got a new stadium and a very good team, and they were trying to win their first World Series since 1947. They haven't won it yet, by the way. And one of their top players was this big guy, the slugger, the black guy, Albert Bell.
Yes.
So, and no, they had a playoff game, and well, I don't know. So the game ends, the Indians lose, and then this girl reporter, she catches Albert as he walks off the field. She gets in his face and goes, "Albert, today you went 0 for 4 and left 7 men on base. How do you feel about it?" And they didn't manage to cut off his reply. Not in time. So, no, after that, you know, he got in trouble and all that, you know, so no, because he was, he used bad words, you know, in reply to that. But I can understand all that, but I guess it's just part of it, right? When you're in this type of high-profile occupation, and then you just have to handle this.
Well, I would like to
There's
mention
no other choice.
2 things, not 1 but 2. Number 1, that all the players in Grand Slams have contracts with organizers, and the contract stipulates that the winning player after the match is giving a press conference. Okay, it's a part of the contract. Number 2 issue, even more important, I think that. Yes, she probably has some psychological issues, but a girl who made $50 million could afford to have the best psychologist and therapist and whatever help she needed to do something about it, or renegotiate her contract and get the press conferences out of the contract. And so there are several things that she could do possibly, but she decided that she's, you see, these organizers, you know, they have a big problem now, because if other players will support her decision, then there will be probably half of the players will not do any press conference. But this is a part of a package. When they are paying millions of dollars in prizes, they expect their best players to provide press conferences. Now, if that's not part of the deal, then we have to renegotiate complete deal and reduce prices significantly. Why somebody who is running around and does this hitting the balls should pay the $3 million first prize if they are not even bothered to give press conferences. So this is kind of very controversial issue. I mean, I'm not trying to take sides, although from what I said, obviously you know which side I'm taking. But however, that's beyond the point. Thankfully, in chess we don't have that problem. We have many other problems.
No,
Well,
Says we don't.
that the player would refuse give press conference.
Oh, there were many cases of this. I remember Carlson storming away from one of those.
Yes, it's well known. Yes, agree with you.
Oh, yeah, of course it happens all the time. I mean, it will happen in the future again as the tension, you know, grows. We just have too many comfortable events. I mean, nobody is killing themselves at the Grand Chess Tour, you know, we saw that this morning, right? No, I mean, this morning, American, US time. Or Kasparov plays a ceremonial first move, and after that, another 10 moves of blind, you know, theory or whatever, and then it's clear that the game is not really played. And there were 3 of those out of 5, right?
No, actually, 4.
So nobody's going to get all emotional after... with the attitude like this. So everything's going to be very nice and there will be no conflicts, but coming back to quality of the product, it's not satisfactory.
No, but okay.
We had one interesting game today, right? The reason I'm watching this stuff because I signed up to write a report on this tournament for one.
Really? Wow. So tell us.
I will, but I mean, I was asked how many games would be in that report, and I said probably about 7, maybe 8, because I figured I would be lucky to have one interesting game per round with the kind of crowd involved over there. those people, I'm personally sick and tired of seeing the same people in all sorts of events, be it Carlsen Online or Kasparov match promoted Grand Chess Tour or whatever. It's all same people, and they're tired even more than we are. They're really tired. They're so beat up, they just can't play chess anymore. Why are they always there? Question. Why are they always same people? One tournament to another.
But wait, Alex, do they have some qualifying tournaments that some people that see hundreds of players can fight for qualifying places?
Who's going to pay for it? Nobody's going to pay for the qualifying tournaments. They're too cumbersome. They're probably going to be run online, which is rampant cheating and all that, So that's not going to work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see no solution in this, but I'm not in charge of finding solutions. So.
Mihail, what's your opinion?
No, well, okay. Talking about these draws, a bit earlier there was this final, in the Carlsen tournament, the final and the small final for the third place, no? And the first day was really weird. Okay, I understood that Nepo and who was he playing?
Rajabov, I suppose.
Rajabov, yes. They made 4-5 draws.
Yeah.
What was even funnier was that just 1 hour earlier there was a game in the Women Gibraltar tournament. It was also prearranged draw. It's some move repetition in the Grünfeld, and Nepo and Raja, they used the same line twice. Okay.
So
no.
finally they learn from women, right?
Yes.
No,
okay.
yeah, of course.
No. This, okay. They don't want to fight, and they want to show to the people that they are tired. They don't want to fight. Okay, but I didn't understand another thing. We have the final, yes, Carlsen Rajabov. Okay, Carlsen wins with black the first game, and then he plays very quickly, aligned. They exchange all the pieces, and then there is a draw by repetition. Then, okay, he with white. Then he loses with black, and now the score is even. Now he's white again, and what does he do? He plays quickly the same variation until the move repetition. So I didn't understand. Okay, I can understand that Rajabov and Nepo, they are just they don't respect the audience. Let's say they don't care.
They don't care. Yeah.
But Carlsen, I couldn't understand because So was playing with white. And it's not that he thought So is an easy opponent. No. Actually, So is not an easy opponent for him.
Yeah. He's fighting Carlsen quite successfully in several matches.
So even Carlsen, the driving force, the mastermind behind all this whole thing, even he cannot handle this. There is maybe it's just too many games. This tennis-like system that they use of sets. Mm-hmm. Somebody even said the final they should play best of 5. Oh, thank goodness they didn't. It was really just painful to watch this whole thing.
Painful.
But I understand, they're trying to be practical. Actually, the value of winning the first set, it's nice. It gives you kind of like a draw odds, in the second set. But to risk it, I think the risk-reward ratio in the final game, if the score is tied at 1.5 apiece, the risk-reward ratio is not really enticing to do this. I think you make this draw, there are no tie-break games, the first set goes into the books, and everything's going to be decided tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I think that's their position. They're just going to shorten this whole thing because they know it's going to come to this pressure, nerve-wracking situation, but why have it twice, 2 days in a row? It's just a natural desire of human being to kind of save himself.
But wouldn't you agree that the present system that they're doing now, in my opinion, it's a great devaluation of chess. Because there are so many lines, so many variations, and they're just repeating the same thing. Very often there is no fight. I wouldn't say prearranged draws. They are just kind of draws because both have no problems that draw against each other. So they just
because they faced each other so many times. Eventually even the better player is kind of goes down to the level of his weaker opponent, somewhat weaker, and it all just levels out. If they play each other so many times, it's inevitable.
Yeah,
Even
I
Kasparov, who was
observed that.
clearly
I observed that phenomenon.
even Kasparov, who was clearly better than Karpov, he still could not win any of his matches decisively. Where was Kasparov's win by 4 games, which should be a normal result, in my opinion. As if you compare the two players, say circa, like, I don't know, 1987 or 1990 in particular.
Well, in 87,
I even felt, that Kasparov was tanking on purpose, playing the King's Indian to keep the match more interesting. And they lost like 3 games in the King's Indian, rather unnecessary. No, I mean, I'm not into this conspiracy kind of thing, but I mean, it's just what happens all the time.
well, I
People
think
play each other time and again, and they become equal and almost undistinguishable for one another.
first of all, from his books, my great predecessors, I think Kasparov was saying in 1987 in Seville, Kasparov just was not in his best form. He just didn't play well. He was able to save the match, but his level of play was not his optimal level. Now, in New York, I was on that match, and Kasparov was really wanted to decisively beat Karpov, which, as you say, +4 or something like that. He wanted to do it in New York and Lyon, and it just didn't. For some reason, it just didn't work out.
For some reason, for playing the King's Indian, that's the reason.
Yeah, but he couldn't play Grunfeld against Karpov because Karpov was...
No, Grunfeld, I understand, but I mean, it's just... I don't know. So what? So you're saying he tried to win games with black, or
no? But what we say that he really wanted to beat Karpov by a larger margin, this is relative because before the last round, Kasparov was leading by 1 point. So even if he loses, he retains the title.
Yes.
And he has white. Karpov plays risky because he wants to at least tie the match. His position is not bad, but at some point he goes wrong. And now Kasparov can get he got already 2 minor pieces for a rook, and probably a winning position. And what does he do in this moment? He offers a draw.
Yes.
I don't think he wanted to crush him. I think he knew that Karpov is not so easy to beat, and he was happy with winning the match.
So, all right, Mihail, if that's the case, then we go into this conspiracy theory that these people kept the appearances of the ongoing rivalry and expecting to have 5 more matches after that.
No, I
with each other, I mean, maybe that's the case. I mean, I don't know. They felt comfortable playing each other. Indeed, why not continue? They could have done it every year.
No, but you see, Alex, but that was again in his book, My Great Predecessors, where he was talking about the match that never happened. In about 95, he was supposed to play yet another one. Shortly after 95, he already beat Anand, and Karpov already beat Timon. Oh, Kamsky, sorry. He beat Kamsky.
But it was in 96, okay.
Yeah, 96, okay. So now there was supposed to be a final match between Kasparov and Karpov to unite the title, because again, there were 2 systems. So, and you know who derailed that match? Kasparov himself. Because Karpov had won, unfortunately, lousy tournament in Linares, or no?
But it was in 94. Sasha, pardon me, like 94 and 97, there was 2 different Karpovs.
Wait.
Karpov didn't win anything from 97 onward. Look at his tournament results. He never won a tournament after that.
Wait a sec. He had fantastic tournament in Linares in 94, right?
Yes.
Where he destroyed very strong field with fantastic result, 11 out of 13 or so. 95, 96, there were matches, and finally in 96 he beat Kamsky, and Kasparov beat Anand. Okay, so far nothing is wrong, everything is fine, and it's a logical continuation is that Kasparov will play Karpov, and finally they will unite both systems, and there will be one absolute world champion. That was a plan, and there were a lot of...
Maybe there was a plan, but objectively speaking, what happened to Karpov was the same thing that happened to Korchnoi between the years 1978 and 1981. You remember how Korchnoi played in Merano? He won one game.
Yes.
There was really a mismatch. The same thing would happen with Karpov. Karpov was already a shadow of himself by 1997.
I agree with you, Alex.
Yeah, he was done. Yeah.
Probably he wouldn't offer any resistance to Kasparov in that.
Not at all.
I agree with that. But as we know that...
Well, thankfully it didn't happen. Well, we had enough.
No, but I don't really think that... no, I didn't want to say anything about conspiracy. Kasparov was simply afraid. He was happy with +1. He didn't want to risk anything, and I don't think they were so comfortable playing against each other. Comfortable. This means playing against Timan or against Short, as they did in '93. This was comfortable. Playing against each other, okay. I think that was a huge effort.
I see your point. But eventually Karpov lost to Short, and that was the.
Of course, if I believe that they were both ambitious, and okay, these were Soviet times when culture and intellect were on the first place, maybe for too many. So I think it was for them like challenging intellectually. Of course, they wanted to play to prove something. But I don't think it was so comfortable. Comfortable was to play against anybody else.
Maybe, yeah. No, long history anyway.
In my opinion, there were three purposes in that unplayed match. Number one purpose is to get united world champion, because at that time there were two systems. One is Kasparov's PCA and another one FIDE. So to unite these two systems. Number two, Kasparov wanted to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that he is much better player, and not only that he can crush Karpov with a huge score, +4, maybe even more. And number three reason, it's an old one, money. Another at least $3 million prize fund, maybe even more or so. So three very sound reasons. Yet Kasparov was one who derailed that match on the grounds that Karpov had one poor tournament performance. I think it was Dos Hermanos in Spain, where he had horrible result, and Kasparov after that said, well, there's no reason to play much anymore, because so on. So, okay, then you know all the history. However, let's still remember that chess still is an art, and we have a great artist among us, Maria. Please show us your art. That's much better and more pleasant than talking.
Maria, your work is much better than all those lousy chess games. I wish I could write articles about your paintings instead of those lousy games that I have to analyze every day.
You have to see the paintings. It's difficult to write.
I saw some of them, but they're really exciting, and I think they're much better.
Today is nude art and with flowers and with
I saw that.
Sorry.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Outstanding work.
And another painting also with the flowers, because I don't know, it may be because of summer time, or I don't know.
Great.
I would like to present.
That's fantastic. Look at this, huh?
That's a beautiful impression.
And elongated chess pieces, they look like flowers too.
Flowers and leaves. Colors.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's
Mihail, tell us a secret. How do you inspire Maria to have such paintings?
I should answer something like Ilf and Petrov when asked how they write together. One of them was negotiating with the editors, while the other one was guarding the manuscript.
Actually writing So,
So-
obviously you're negotiating, right?
Yeah, so Mihail,
something like that.
the business part, yeah, of course.
Oh, good.
But I think if Maria, I don't know if Maria draws any inspiration in chess games. I think your games, you could probably find, Mihail, you can find your own games that are much better source of inspiration than what we saw yesterday at the start of the tournament in Bucharest.
No, actually, there are a few positions of mine.
With the horse, with horse.
Yeah, I had a crazy game
position, yeah.
against Kevin Spraggett. I needed to win with black in order to achieve the grandmaster norm. It was a draw eventually. I sacrificed the pawn on exchange, and then it seemed that okay, my knights are too far. But then they jumped to e2 and d3, both undefended at both on attack squares. But somehow it worked. Still, it was only good for drawing. Okay, I got.
So what, you know?
But okay, but it was busy. I mean, okay, it's one of the games I remember with. So she used this position for painting with a knight, with a
And
horse.
another position with the white. A knight.
Yes, when I beat Milov, yes. There is one of my knights which goes somewhere on e6. It seems that it's almost close, but then there comes knight d8, just like this. And
no, but I remember your game where you played like the Botvinnik system with e4 and knight e2 on the white side of the English, and your opponent went the usual way, knight to c7, and then rook to b8, and then you sacrificed the exchange beautifully. You played d4, d5, your pawn went to d5. I forgot who your opponent was. He went to attack your c4 pawn with the knight.
I have to look for that. Now I don't remember it.
And you sacrificed the exchange and you crushed him. I showed this game to my student, and that student, he only plays the English, and you like his hero. So he always says, okay, coach, you say that this has to be played here, but what does Marin think about it?
Alex, I would like to ask you a question. Why don't you take Mihail as a student and teach him that game?
Are you kidding me?
Because he doesn't remember it.
No, I have to find this game. Okay, you guys keep
find it. That's great.
find this game. Yeah,
I had
I'm
this
going to
experience
find this
that
game for sure.
I studied the book of Petrosian, the big specialist of exchange sacrifices. And then what happened was that during two important tournaments, that was the zonal tournament in 1990 and a very strong open. I mean, 6 consecutive games, the last 3 in the zonal, I qualified for in the zonal, and the first 3 in Budapest, I sacrificed exchanges. I mean, just like that. And in Romania, they already knew me that, okay, when I exchange a rook for a minor piece, I said that I won the exchange. And some experienced player in some game, he played bishop h6, attacking my rook on c1. And I answered something like h3. I prepared something positional. And then I won the game, and he cursed himself. Oh, I knew that it's not good to attack Mihail's rook. He didn't take the rook. He came back with the bishop.
He trusted you.
No, but actually, it was good. Maybe not the strongest move h3, but it was not so good if he takes on c1. Yeah, because it had been some Dutch, and the long diagonal was So no, I had this experience a few times. The most sympathetic was with
Marin versus Pavlovich. Okay, I got it.
Now at the World Championship.
Okay, yeah. Well, the World Senior Championship in your hometown of Bucharest. Okay,
Yes,
fine. Can I show this?
Yeah, you have to share screen.
All right.
You know how to do it? I think you've done it.
Let's see now. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
share screen. Okay, so.
I remember.
Okay, all right. Oh, what is going on?
Yeah, you have to press the screen.
I'm working on this.
No problem. Take your time. I'm not.
I don't know if you can see it now. I think I did.
Not yet.
Yes,
now it's
yes. Okay.
No, right. So, well, hey. Okay, this position, it's very well known. As a matter of fact, I played it myself with black. And look what Mihail does here. He pushes the pawn forward right away.
Yes, knight a5 was the new move. Because
Now, this is a bad move. The knight has to go to the edge of the board.
A5, yeah.
Yeah. And now black plays this, and black thinks he's got counterplay going against the pawn on c4. Like, look what happens now. If black can trade pawns and then get the knight out of c7, or maybe from c6 before. And now look at the move white played here. Isn't this a thing of beauty? It just completely froze the black knights. So Pavlovich goes for this, and then that's it. And white has great position, probably big advantage here. And then the game continues this way.
Oh, wow.
And it's just dominating for white. No, you won easily.
Yeah. But this was not the first game with this line. There was this Italian guy Brunello who played the move a5, but he knew it from me because after I wrote the book, I was with Vocatura and him, and they asked me what about knight e5, and then we looked a bit at it, and I said, okay, here you have to go a5, otherwise you are worse with white, but with a5, I mean, it looks decent. So,
this move. Oh, sorry. I mean, in this position, a5, absolutely the key move. But you're right, Petrosian. Or the Petrosian played the same idea. He didn't have to sacrifice anything. But that was his idea in one of his old games from the 1950s, to freeze the queen side with this.
Yes.
This is very pretty.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. Okay, actually, to talk about the beauty of chess, a few days ago, it was the birthday of, I don't know if you remember, there was a great Soviet Grandmaster, actually Ukrainian Grandmaster, if you will, who never became not only world champion, not even contender. He never get even the matches, contenders matches. And his name was Leonid Stein.
Yes.
And I would like to show actually one well-known game, just to show a flavor how he played. So let me share my screen, and I will get into it in a sec.
There was a mesmerizing Ruy Lopez. He lost to Fischer.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Interzonal. Is that? Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is that the French game?
It's a French game. Absolutely right. It's from Soviet Championship in 1961. With Petrosyan was on his way to become a world champion, and Leonid Stein, he was very young at the time, yet he was already a very strong grandmaster. So, Mihail, I know that you're a specialist in French, so maybe you will see something unusual about the game. So far, it's obviously well-known theory. However, here Stein plays 24. And there are several continuations. I think King F8 is one quite popular, but Petrosyan plays this move. For some reason, theory doesn't like this move, but anyway, Petrosyan played this. And now the game develops, and so queen has to retreat. And now something interesting happened. This rook move was criticized because if needed and black wanted later on to castle on the queen side, that's no longer a possibility. So the game continues. White castle now. And here is a very interesting moment. Stein plays this move because usually
knight takes g3 question mark. It's a terrible.
Yes.
move.
Yes,
Whatever black had to play, he just.
I don't think that the Petrosyan.
Maria would not consider any other move than f8.
No, of course you open up rooks.
No matter what the position is, she would always play f takes g3.
Yeah, you open up your pieces. I completely agree with that.
No, here it's obvious.
I mean, I was. I had some experience coaching women, and I mean, I always thought that they play chess the right way.
Yeah.
It's just the problem is that the right way doesn't always win. Because chess is so
I'll be able to weigh in on that in a little bit. but okay.
Well, the black is trying to create some activity on the king's side, but in fact, white is one who is going to prevail on king's side.
Bishop G4.
Very quickly, though.
See, this pawn structure with the double G pawns occurred in today's game.
Yes.
Jack and Giri, where Jack was completely winning.
Yeah, at some point this
And he blew it. He couldn't see a rather simple tactic and let Giri escape. Those two pawns are quite effective sometimes.
Now, the move a4, it actually sacrifices a pawn. However, the bishop at one point could become h3 and will be very powerful. So a4 is a logical move. Petrosian takes. And he plays d5 to fortify queenside. Obviously, bishop h3. And now he just doubles the rooks on f5. So there's a danger. And here, he plays queen d1, preparing something interesting. Rook h6, bishop c1, obvious.
Yeah.
And now b6. Yeah.
Otherwise, I thought it would be worse. Yeah.
Of course, the game is over after this.
Yeah.
Now,
Funny, if the rook was still on h8, maybe he could continue playing. But rook h7, he didn't want to admit his mistake.
Yeah,
If the rook was back on h8, does the sacrifice work?
Interesting question.
Well, the interesting is that
the quality of games, honestly, from that period. Oh, I don't know. I'm not John Nani. I don't analyze those games with computers, but even a cursory look, chess have come a long way since 1960.
Absolutely. Yet we are talking about two top grandmasters, Stein, what his games were and career, and Petrosian, who was. I think he is the most underestimated.
No, but I think it would have been winning anyway. Can we go back? Rook h8.
Yeah, because bishop a3. If the rook on h8, knight f8, bishop a3, b4. I was trying to understand that position.
Bishop is okay. Let's say rook h8. Yes. Now let's.
No, not a little later in the game.
Yes.
When he played bishop back to c1. I think white has a strong attack, but the game would still go on.
Rook h8.
Rook to h8.
So let's
now
check.
white sacrifices.
Let's check the sacrifice. Yes, on e6.
No, not on f7, on e6.
Yeah, true.
Play the same thing. Queen there.
Queen g6.
Queen g4. Knight f8 is the only move.
The only knight is yes.
Bishop a3. Now the only move is b4.
And bishop takes b4.
Bishop takes b4. Rook takes b4. Now
Queen
you take.
Queen takes g7. Queen takes g7.
Yeah,
probably.
queen takes g7.
No. Queen g7.
No, don't take that. Take
No,
on g7.
Queen g7. Queen g7.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right. Well, the position was so messed up that
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but what's
you
so
and I
interesting?
cannot save it, let alone Petrosian. So,
Well, what's
I give up.
spectacular is that the game was played between two very, very strong world-class grandmasters. But it was
it was 61, right?
It was in 61.
But
No,
Stein was completely unknown player in 1961. How come you say he was a grandmaster? He was a nobody.
No,
He was
wait
a
a
master,
minute.
granted,
Next year he was playing in Stockholm interzonal tournament, and he did very well. But he didn't qualify.
But in he played well. He contended, yeah. But I mean, he wasn't really that well known in 61. I mean, it was before he won all these three Russian Soviet, championship titles in 4 years. It came in 63, 64, and 66.
But you see, Alex, he was not known in a large public. They still didn't know so much about him. But chess players, they knew what his real strength, and they were all scared of him at one point.
No, like we know how strong Yesipenko is, and he's not playing in Bucharest or in any tournaments. Well, same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yesipenko would do the same to all these people who,
yeah,
it's already clear to me that he has arrived. He's better than all the so-called. Certainly, like Grishuk is there. No, all due respect to Alexander, but he's not a player he once was, and he's certainly much weaker than Yasipenko now.
So
And some others. By the way, I have a question to Mihail. So, what's the reason for Richard Rapport not to show up in Bucharest?
No, I was told that he got sick.
Sick? With
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
He's
he
a
got,
young
yeah.
guy, It's not COVID, I hope. No?
No, I don't know. I just know from Lupulescu that Dak got the last-minute invitation when Rapport called and said he was sick. But
Oh,
I
what
don't
a
know.
shame! What a shame.
But okay, maybe with I mean, okay, Rapport of course is an interesting player who would have made things more fightful. But I think Dak will have a similar effect. Because,
Yeah, I think Dak was going to do well. Too bad he didn't win today.
yeah, but okay, it's the only interesting game, in the whole round.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean,
He played a challenge in opening line, and Giri. Well, I think there's like 2 years ago, if Giri got the same position, he would have never played G4. But now, because of this conditioning, that they gave themselves playing all these rapid games, he just couldn't stop himself.
no,
He
G4
pushed the Jeep on forward because this is how you play rapid and blitz, and it was completely unacceptable for a long-time control game.
Very clumsy. No, I guess that his position is better there, but after G4, he's
No, after G4, it's almost win for White. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, oh, yes.
okay, I don't want to be,
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that.
I don't want to be criticized. Why would they show Petrosyan's losing game? So here is one winning game for him, also well known, of course, but it's a lot of fun. So some people who never seen it was played, by the way, in a World Championship match against Spassky.
Spassky was even worse King's Indian player than Kasparov was. Spassky lost practically every game where he tried the King's Indian against anybody.
no,
Wait, Kasparov
he beat Kasparov twice.
In the King's Indian?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was completely losing in both of them, but he won.
Ah, okay. Thanks for the correction.
No, he was.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, he was not losing. He was just, didn't look like a game already, and he still won.
Well, you know what? It looks like Black is okay in this opening so far. I mean, he's very active and he has interesting.
According to this whole thing was a little too soon. Yeah.
Well, he wants to take on A1, I guess. I don't know what else.
Yeah,
No, according to the theoretical recommendations, Black maybe B5 strangely was the wrong move, and they say that now the pawn should go to B6, and one knight stands badly on B7. Everything else comes into play, and maybe Black can. But I mean, I'm not sure. He opened up too soon. His knight is bad.
Yeah, now the position is actually probably about equal or so, but well, Black has a good knight on E5, and it looks like he's out of danger, but well, the game continues. Now, Spassky was criticized for taking a rook here. Perhaps so, but let's see how the game continues. Of course, how he sacrifices, and there's a huge attack against Black King.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah.
Now it's coming.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yes.
That was really cool here in this position to have such a combination. And of course now you must take, and the game finishes. And Black has extra pieces.
This is a great game, but again about the Spassky, just like all people who accidentally end up on the King's Indian, well, he was pushing too soon. Probably somewhere deep inside he knew that he wasn't comfortable with where his pieces were. Real King's Indian players like Stein was, for example, they never rushed like this. This moves e4 and f4. They would no. They believed that their position was fully playable, and they would take their time, and that's why it was much harder to deal with it. I mean, he opened everything up, and good play by Petrosian, but sort of Black coded up upon himself.
Yes, but he was the kind of guy who would develop his pieces. He would follow some plan, and then he would not consider alternatives. He would just go for it. That was his style somehow. He was not flexible in thinking. But of course, the strengths of he carried out his plans, good or wrong, with big imagination, and but having a knight on a5, of course, it's a big handicap. I mean,
it wasn't good.
You know, I more than 30 years ago, I beat Velimirovic. He also played something with knight a5. And I was just my first interzonal, okay?
No, that's the Yugoslav variation. Of course, he had to go knight a5.
Yes, but I had the bishop on e2. I played
it doesn't matter, why this small details.
So I beat him in 30 moves. And of course, he opened the play on the king side with the knight on a5. b5 was not even, maybe he managed to play a6, but b5, I believe that he didn't get to play. And he was analyzing, and he says, no, I smell the mate here. But here that was attacking with a piece down, you understand? And I told him, yes, but the knight. And he just showed me b5, which never came actually.
No, I can explain what happened, because it's one thing when Dragolyub would really sacrifice his knight. If that knight was not on the board, maybe his attack would have worked. The very fact that knight was there on the board and being completely useless took all the wind out of his sails, and simply the attack didn't work. He was an attacking player. He had to sacrifice this knight, throw it right in the middle of your position. And
Alex, I found something. When you criticized how Kasparov cannot play all the King's Indian defense, and speaking about his games against Karpov, here's a game from Linares 93. Karpov white, Kasparov black. I'm sure all of you know this game, but just for illustration purposes, I will go very quickly over this game. So here's, and this is a very important game in Linares at that time. It was
that was a ridiculous game. Yes, he beat him very bad. yes.
Wait a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean.
So black has now weakness on d6, but the position is very dynamic.
I remember very well, this, and I thought I had a game against Igor Novikov before that, sometime in the 1980s, and of course I had the same idea in mind, to take on a5 with the knight and go b5, and of course Novikov played d5 without thinking at all. He didn't think for 1 second. He didn't take on a5. Which is a much stronger move.
B4 is quite spectacular move.
Oh, so that's
going back with a knight. Maybe knight a4 was alternative, but
anyway. He had a plan to go with all the pieces on the back.
This is fun, yeah.
And he carried out this plan very, very consequently.
Yeah, but the opposition was kind of very unassuming, but black has huge initiative here.
No, he got his pawn back. That's important.
Yes. This queen g1 is brilliant, of course. And now knight c1. Yes.
All right.
Knight c1 is kind of common. Yeah. Well, I don't remember.
I think it was on the board.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful.
He's prepared. It's almost like a Fischer random chess. His pieces, white pieces.
No, one guy is playing Fischer random. The other guy is playing normal chess.
Yeah. So.
I mean, the sickest thing about this whole thing that before that rook sacrifice, black didn't have to give up anything.
No, absolutely not. But he just makes his point. He just can do anything.
Now there was some incident, I believe, yes, because Kasparov didn't find the queen. I think he just took on d1 with the pawn, and then Karpov was claiming something that. I don't remember.
By the way, what are the rules today? I think you lose the game immediately if you.
No. You have 3 possibilities.
Okay.
You can either just remove the pawn and put the queen, or advance and put the queen. No, two possibilities maybe, yes. Two possibilities. They are legal, but okay, you have to have the queen. If you don't have the queen, you stop the clock. And
Well, that's why when I played in Mexico City, so I played one of my games, and it came to this situation when I was looking to promote, but my original queen was still on the board. So I got up. We were in time trouble, but I had maybe a minute and a half or maybe 2 minutes. So I had enough time to go to some random board and steal a queen from there. So I brought the queen back, and then I think my opponent after that completely lost his will to fight. So he realized that now I'm not going to forfeit by promoting in an incorrect way. And he played some bad move, and I won easily.
Wow.
So it's important to show that queen. I held that queen in my hand, and I'm like, see that? I'm not gonna mess up.
But I had a funny situation. I don't know which the solution is. Okay, I was in time trouble, and my opponent had the pawn on the 7th, and then he asked the arbiter to bring him a queen.
Really?
He put it right next to the board, and then after 1 or 2 moves, he took the queen in his hand.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. Does this mean pièce touchée? Does this mean that he has to promote or not? Because promoting would have been a blunder in that moment. But I don't know. It looked like pièce touchée. I mean, and I thought the arbiter was watching because I was in time trouble. And I told to the arbiter, but the arbiter said, no. He played something different, okay. But yeah, you understand. I mean, it looks like pièce touchée to me.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know.
No, that sort of sends a signal, indeed. When I didn't think of that in the heat of the battle, but I guess. Oh, I don't know.
Not on the board.
On the board, yeah,
yes.
but he thought, no.
That in the hand,
It's a philosophical question for fun,
Yes.
more for fun. I mean, okay.
No, but people can say, okay, you have friends in the audience, and then you show that this intention of promoting into a queen, and they immediately signal you in some way that this is a losing move, and then it established communications. It's cheating. Sort of a precursor.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyway, here is the end of the game. Exchange of
Jesus.
queens.
Bishop
That's the end.
F5.
Okay, the game is over. The game is
Why
over.
did he resign?
This game. This is a classic.
Yeah, Karpov resigned.
He resigned because of Bishop F5 and Rook D1. He
Yes,
didn't like putting a piece.
and the rook is hanging as well. Okay,
Alright.
anyway, I want to stop this right away because it's quite horrible situation. So I don't want to ruin your day by showing this position one more time. So in these games that we just looked at, there is a lot of beauty in all these games. Now, the game which was played between Stein and Petrosian in 1961, it was played in Moscow, and there were hundreds of people, spectators, watching this game. So, in fact, chess can be a spectator sport. At least I remember, and Alex, probably you in Soviet Union, chess was a spectator sport, really. People were watching the games actually in real time. Sometimes.
Yes.
That's true. But I mean, consider the capacity. We're talking about those crowds, like, there was 2,500 people at that chess tournament. But I mean, it's drop in the ocean. At that time, like near 100,000 people would attend football matches.
Right.
I mean, it still was not really that way.
Right. So the fair comparison, in my view, is my son takes part in spectating League of Legends matches. In fact, he sometimes has an auxiliary role. That's a major online video game that stages a world championship, team championship, that has upwards of 100,000 spectators following in an integrated arena style where there's some sense of community. You're not just looking at a screen by yourself. And so I think that's the comparison point for chess, whether chess can have that.
And do you believe that chess could achieve exactly that?
It's possible it could. There are stories that it has, and in Azerbaijan or Indonesia when there was that cheating scandal and match that was followed by 100,000 people. So there are possibilities for it. It's a case of marketing it. I do think that player interviews are much more entertaining now. I think that chess has definitely improved in that regard.
Yes.
I think also it has, you mentioned Indonesia. No, we often measure success by like the reaction of the American audience to it. No, although we claim that now that everything is international because the internet knows no borders, I actually don't think so. I think we have the same thing practically. Like, all right, I mean, people from China or India or Indonesia, I don't think they would follow games between Wesley So and Hikaru Nakamura. That's strange to them. Even Wesley, who was born in the Philippines, but he's an American now. They want their own people. They will support them. I think it will change. Well, if this pattern continues, that every chess player, like thinks, all right, I get under the wing of Rex Sinkfield, for the pittance, like of support, that is not a good idea for chess. Chess has to become a truly international sport.
It has basically all ingredients for that because there's no language skills required. So it doesn't matter what language do you speak. In chess, you have equal opportunities.
Let's speak the language of money. Look at Aronian. Who invited this guy to come to the United States? What is this?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the darling. He's basically the brand name of Armenian chess. How could he do that? Only because he had some conflicts there and maybe they withdrew some support. It's just such a minor issue.
Yeah, he's not a poor man. He was just the last man needed somebody's support.
Well, Mihail, you would never do this. You would never leave Romania to come to the United States only because somebody would offer you, $10,000 a month or something.
No, look, I never did that. In the team championships either. Because there are strong there's teams with bigger money. They want when I was number 1, number 2 in Romania. When I have a team where everything is fine, people are fine and so on, then I stay with this team. No, of course. It's important to feel comfortable, for instance. I once changed the team a few years ago when I didn't feel comfortable. There was some guy who was also the captain, and he was lower rated than me, and he played almost no games. But still, he always put himself on a higher board, and he would take me out of the team many times. So this got me angry, understand? And he wasn't doing so well.
No, yeah, but you don't flip out because of this and make some.
No, but this happens 2 years in a row. This happens 2 years in a row.
But that's very frustrating. Yeah.
No, the team championship in Romania is not for this little money we get. No, it's for it's like a praznik fiesta. It's everybody's there. You try to play some chess. You see everybody, friends and for many decades and so on. This is what it's all about. And if you
Michael, this was it's really missing in internet chess, where people are staring at their screens.
Yes.
They don't feel like friends, people that they haven't seen for a while or so. It's horrible. Hopefully, it will be over soon.
Yeah, that's what. In fact, in my appearance yesterday on James Eads' chess show, we talked about chess as the transition to in-person activities.
Excellent. So, how is he doing, Jim?
He seems fine. Yeah.
Good. Good.
So, what did he say about all this, the transition?
Well, the one point we made is that first of all, we both agreed strongly that a lot of the value of chess tournaments is being in person with people. We talked about whether chess tournaments could have joint in-person and hybrid participants, but that would be a mess logistically. I don't think it would make any difference for the quality of play, but would people be willing to invest the organizational resources in needing to have arbiters in various cities? So I think only in very special cases could you have that. But health-wise,
I think that would be good or just necessary. I mean, the whole concept of playing, of not traveling and playing from your hometown. Is that just because it's necessary, or you think it's because it's positive?
Well, I still, it's only because it's transitionally necessary. In other words, we both had the opinion that a lot of the attraction of playing chess, even though it's more expensive, is to go in person and have that community.
Oh, so that's now about being expensive, not because of COVID restrictions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so we were talking about post-COVID, what habits were likely to persist.
I hope that Jim himself puts his money where his mouth is and shows up in Las Vegas at the National Open. I'll buy him a drink.
We talked about
I'll buy him a drink, so I promise.
We talked about that. In fact, we talked about how the National Open will be a very welcome experiment in whether you can have several hundred people in a well-ventilated room, maybe not moving about so much.
So when is that National Open?
Later this month.
It starts on the 16th for the open section, which is a 9-round tournament, and the lower sections begin the following day on the 17th.
Of July?
I'm flying there on the 15th. So.
Yeah.
July?
I'm playing. Yeah, I'm playing.
Oh, great. I will be much happier with chess back in person just because of the sheer volume of cases I'm dealing with. These past 4 days have been miserable.
Really?
Yes. Well,
There's more stuff. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, just, I'm done with my university term. I thought I would finally get a break. No.
Anybody talk about the idea once post-COVID situation will just to ban completely internet chess?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't think internet chess has done anything really important to gain trust, I have to say.
Yeah.
What if you ban the internet entirely? Why do we need the internet?
Exactly.
Okay, so we can all go and meet at Sasha's house. We can have the same show, just sitting around and.
Exactly. I hope the day will come, but maybe before that, I will have one program from Mihail Marin's house in Bucharest.
Oh yeah, and then of course we all go to Bucharest. We crash at your planet. You get to see all the paintings then.
Right. I will buy painting because now it's making me crazy about it. Let's go. But it's about time. It's about time that Canada will finish lockdown in July 5th. Lockdown will be finished.
Okay.
We're still in lockdown, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the longest lockdown in the world is in Canada. Unfortunately.
Yeah, Canada's real hard. Yeah,
the longest. Yeah, it's incredible.
And it's very hard to fathom why. I mean,
actually, for me, not too many things will change for me. By the way, but there's one change, one huge change. Last summer, I wanted to have a haircut, and all the hair salons are closed. So what we did, me and my friend, you see, the hairdresser who came to our house, he was not allowed legally to do haircut because he couldn't find $5,000. So we hired him as a consultant. So what we did nice barbecue, we had vodka, we had cigars, so we had a really good time. And after that, he showed him how to cut my hair, and then he showed me how to cut his hair. Furthermore, we had to pay him $200. So I'm against this summer paying $200 for haircut. I just don't want it anymore. Please. So July 5th, I think we will be okay.
Yes, thank you.
Something to look forward to.
Yes. Okay, I would like to thank you very much for participating in this program, and we'll see you shortly. We may have a couple of weeks off in the next little while, but I will give you enough notice to resume our programs, and hope to see you really soon again. Thank you so much. Have a great time.
Okay, yeah. Okay, say hi to the people at Superbet for me. Some of them I'm watching. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Goodbye.